Hey everyone, in this voice recording, I'm going to be speaking more on this. It's an educational video for Caesar's Blue Legion's officers training, okay? Now, this thing is a stick or a cane, okay? Now, the slaves, the jailers and execution unit would usually use a stick to beat the slaves, not on the head, because you don't want to brain damage a slave, but on the thighs, sometimes on the palm of their hands, they would just, in extreme situations, what they would do, they would just find any stick, close to this place, like let's just say a stick over there, and just carve it to be a more finer stick, okay, to inflict more of a shock effect. Now listen, this is an educational video, just listen, okay? Now let me just remind you something. If you're in this officers training program, you mustn't come here in chains, first of all, okay? And you mustn't come here with a flagellum, okay? This is educational. Please don't use, because listen, Caesar's Blue Legion is not about slavery and using flagellums on people, okay? In extreme situations, the jailers and executions unit would just find a stick here next to a house like this, which is look, this was built for this purpose, to make the executioners and jailers people rest, because they're the one pulling the slaves in their chains. So they get exhausted, and the slaves, you would usually rest under these trees, sometimes even chained to the tree, okay? Just remember the name, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Now, Caesar's Blue Executioners and Jailers unit is not, does not use these methods of using a cane on its own, because look, the only people that are going to be handled by Caesar's Blue Legion's Executioners and Jailers unit will be disobedient Reds, okay, for the land, okay? There's a separate execution unit for the Navy, for the Blue Navy. That has nothing to do with the land, okay? That's a completely different system, and that's definitely not my issue. Now, there's a bunch of things you can learn with the stick. If you take you take a shit on this training march, you use a stick to wipe your behind, okay? After you take a shit, okay? And then you can just clean, and yes, that's all you use. You mustn't wipe your south end to a living tree, okay? This was a disobedient stick, so it's a stick, okay? Away from a tree without any roots. You can use a disobedient stick to wipe the area from where your piss doesn't come out, okay? So this is a disobedient stick. That's why it's a stick. This is an obedient tree. That's why it's still a tree with roots to its ground, okay? So you mustn't go and rub your south end against these trees that are living trees, okay? They have life in them, okay? This is lifeless. It's a stick, okay? You can use this lifeless, disobedient stick to clean your south end, okay, on your march. Don't rub your south end against any stones or things like that. That's not very, it's not a good idea. And no, I don't have experience in doing such foolish acts, okay? Now, in your march, you must carry a bowl, okay? The Roman bowl. I have it with me, but I'm not going to show it over and over again, okay? So when you reach a source of water or a Roman well or a river, you drink the water. Don't be dehydrated, Because here, look, no one's going to come and rescue you on this march. You have to take care of yourself. Now, Caesar's Blue Legion and Executioner's Unit, what is their method of um, instilling discipline in the camps? First of all, look, the worst the punishment will be is to take a wooden gladius and smack a disobedient legioner on the thigh. Okay, hard. If he's really being stubborn. Okay? Now, this is the law only for the blues. But you can never use a flagellum. Look, in original Roman law, you can never use a flagellum on another Roman soldier. Okay? That means you don't have the ability to comprehend justice. Because listen, a Roman legion, doesn't matter, red or blue, has earned his position with a lot of blood being spilt on the land. Okay? This land of the Roman Republic is stained with the blood of Roman soldiers. Okay? All these plants that you see are byproducts of the blood of Roman soldiers. Okay? And the bare feet of the slaves. Now listen, when I speak about canes and flagellums, it's out of education, not to encourage you to just pick one up and just smash it into something, okay? Or whip something, okay? Never even use a flagellum on a tree, okay? Look, trees, the bark, trees don't have feelings, okay? Because they're asleep. The tree people are asleep if they're in the form of a tree. So don't use a tree to practice, if you're part of the red execution unit. That's my advice. Never practice on a tree. Yes, practice on a bench or something like that, but never practice on a living tree. Second, you must never even think about using a flagellum on a child, okay? Then you're worse than a barbarian, okay? This land is also stained by the sweat of the slaves, at least in this area, okay? The sweat, the shit and piss of slaves, okay? This whole root of slavery with the... Look, it's still going on now, okay? Now, regarding the flagellum. Listen, the reason I have to speak about this, there's many ways to make a flagellum just with the equipment you have. You see a stick, you see some armors, leather, breastplate on the march. You just find some stones, tie them into the leather. Listen, I'm being down to earth about this, okay? Just take a piece of the stick, find some old Roman armor, tie some stones, pebbles in some length, and just practice by whipping some dead piece of wood, okay? If you're that interested in using this device. Now, this device does not exist in the blues, okay? It's prohibited to be used in the Blue Legion. That's it. This is the Reds' job to deal with this, but however, it is important for the blues to educate themselves about it, okay? Now, there's various degrees of flagellums. You can make it as brutal as you want. There's many skills and techniques. You can use seashells off a beach to make a flagellum. Okay? Then you have the worst flagellum is the worst flagellum, the most brutal flagellum was created in the Roman province of Sarmagutsa, or in Germania, okay? The name of this flagellum was called Nostranam Beithud, okay? Now, this was the most brutal flagellum that can be ever created by something that wants to inflict pain and suffering, okay? Like a real... one whip of that is enough, okay? If you use that flagellum once, you will become merciful after just using it once, okay? That's something even I don't want to talk about. Yes, I can see it, but for sure, never use it, okay? That is the most brutal flagellum that can be created. Now, this education is important for the Blue Legion, okay? Now in Rome, there also exists a law that you can never, all the slaves in the Roman Republic are slaves because they agreed to be slaves, okay? Nobody is, after a lot of convincing and debating and annoying, they want to become slaves purposefully, at least by the time they reach the borders of the Roman Republic. So there's no such thing in the Roman Republic that you go and kidnap a slave. At least this is the Blue Legion's law, okay? Now, so, and no, the Nostra Name Beitchot flagellum was not used on Jesus of Nazareth, okay? So just to give you the idea. I don't think even the most cruel executioner or jailer sadist would use that device. So that's all I have in this voice recording. And I'll see you people later. Now this education of flagellums is for the red execution and jailers unit, not for the blues, okay? In the blue execution and jailers unit, it's just to guard prisoners and use more merciful ways of rehabilitation, guarding, you know, just making sure the prisoners don't escape, taking away privileges, you know, the little things. It's not this cruel and violently, okay? That's all I have in this video. Put some links in the description box below if you're interested. See you people later.